A new AEW signing has been revealed, plus so much more big news. Guys, welcome to the Ango Show. Yes. All right, everybody, you already know the drill. At 100K, we're doing a big giveaway, so make sure you subscribe for a chance to win. We're going to kick things off with a huge TNA announcement. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about TNA. Tonight, they come back. It's their TV show. Apparently, the tapings were very, very good. I can't wait to watch it. I think a lot of the stuff that they've shown at Hard to Kill was great. But today, there is some very interesting news that they put out themselves. They have revealed that the classic Cross the Line theme song is coming back to TNA Wrestling. And, you know, it's very interesting because I think sometimes leaning on nostalgia could be a good thing, and at times it could be a very bad thing. And I think this is one of those things where, truth be told, it's kind of, I don't know if it's like that big of a deal that they're doing this because it's just a theme song. At the end of the day, it's cool, it's nostalgic, but at the same time too, you got to focus on the future, and I just really want that to be the case with TNA. Now, for those who are curious as to what you can look forward to tonight on TNA, Josh Alexander will go one-on-one with Will Ospreay. Alexander versus Ospreay 2. I'm very excited to watch this match. I thought their first match was very awesome. Then we also have Nick Nemeth making his TNA Impact TV debut. Obviously, Moose just won the World Championship. The grizzled young veterans are in action. Obviously, a lot of big things to happen. But I'm intrigued to see what this intro looks like and how it just is presented, right? The theme song was a great theme song. It was, late 2000s, early 2010s when they had it. Obviously, they don't have Kurt Angle. They don't have Samoa Joe. They don't have a lot of those guys that they had, Sting and AJ Styles and whatever. But they still have the Motor City Machine Guns. They still have a very, very talented roster. So I'm personally intrigued to see how this all goes down, obviously. But again, presentation's a big thing. And sometimes leaning on nostalgia isn't always a good thing. So hopefully this is one of those things where now that they've captured some attention with TNA Hard to Kill, hopefully people are going to tune in and get excited about this potential stuff, because obviously they have a stacked card tonight, which is fantastic. But in addition to a stacked card, this is the first time that we're going to see TNA Impact on TV in such a long time. So it looks like they're really leaning into the old stuff, which is cool, but the product has to reflect the coolness. And I feel like Impact Wrestling has been great, but at the same time too, I want to see what TNA Impact looks like. So obviously I'll keep you guys up to date with everything happening in TNA. If you guys aren't subscribed, you probably should. Some shocking news. We all heard that Camille was potentially headed to WWE. Well, Fightful Select reported that Camille was backstage at Dynamite in North Charleston, South Carolina. The reason for this was that she was supposedly visiting friends at AEW, but you do got to keep in mind that it's been previously reported that she received an offer from WWE to join the NXT brand. However, it is currently unknown as to whether or not Camille has signed with the WWE. Now, it's interesting because last year, Camille did an interview where she actually compared WWE to the Yankees. She said she had aspirations to join the WWE. Is there a chance that she doesn't join the WWE and signs with AEW? Now, quite frankly, AEW is clearly working on their women's division. I think that's a fantastic thing. But also at the same time, too, if you're going to work on your women's division and you're going to bring in signings like Camille, you got to do something with them. And I'm very happy with how they're treating Deonna Purrazzo right now, but we want to see more, right? And it's obviously too soon to say whether it's been done well or poorly. So obviously within time, we'll look at Deonna Purrazzo as an interesting signing. But let's just cut to the point. This is what it is. AEW is building their women's division. Why? They're bringing in Mercedes Moné. I think it's very clear Mercedes is going to AEW, and I think they're trying to build towards a division that's around Mercedes Moné, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I think Camille would be good in AEW. I think she'd be good in WWE or AEW. I think she's the kind of person that could do great things, obviously. But for me personally, I think it's going to be interesting to see, because there's obviously a lot of stuff about her going to WWE. Was she really just visiting friends, or is she joining the company? And I think the reason why I'm asking this is because it's very important that AEW is very particular with their signings, And that actually leads us to our next topic of today's video and the main event of today's video. We got to talk about this. Lucha Blog has revealed that Black Taurus has joined AEW, and very interestingly enough, he will have to undergo a name change. Now, obviously, I've watched a little bit of AAA here and there, but in terms of weekly television, I watched Impact. So this is how I first discovered Black Taurus. I was watching him on Impact, and honestly, I thought he was great, you know what I mean? And I don't know if his whole situation with Impact was like a full-time deal and then he left Impact. From what I've heard, from my understanding, he was kind of there just like on a part-time deal. Obviously, Impact was working with AAA, so he would come to Impact. But obviously, with him signing with AEW, according to Lucha Blog, AAA still owns that name, Black Taurus. So if they own his name, that means he is going to do a name change in AEW. And this is where it gets a little bit intriguing for me because I think this guy has a very cool look. I think he has a very dope presentation about him. And I think the way he is currently as is, I feel like AEW with their production value can offer a lot to help give him some sort of big time aura. But it's also interesting to say, hey, do they go with him not having a mask on? You know, and I think that is something that could be a very intriguing situation for AEW because this guy is super talented in the ring. Do they go with this idea of, hey, drop the mask, let's show your real face, and let's build you as a credible character? Now, the thing I don't like about that necessarily is that I don't think you necessarily have to remove the mask at all, actually. But it will be interesting to see how they go about this because you have to remember, if he's not keeping his name and he makes his debut in AEW with a brand new name and without the mask, people won't know who he is. He might not get that pop. But if he shows up with the mask and a new name, I think people will understand who he is, and then he could get a pop. Now, I personally am a very big fan of a lot of the talent from AAA that has come into TNA or AEW over the years. I think there are great talents from Mexico, and when they could come to the United States and showcase that on weekly live television, it's always a good thing. This is why I'm a big fan of the TNA AAA partnership, because we're going to see more of that, and maybe even potentially a World X Cup. But when I see Black Taurus come to AEW, I think there is a lot of significance there for AAA because what will AAA do, right? Like AEW works with AAA. They have a relationship sort of. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know they own the name, but if you have a relationship, why not just keep the Black Taurus name? But now that TNA announced that partnership with AAA, I'm curious as to whether or not maybe that's an exclusive thing. I don't know, but it definitely will be interesting to find out. Either way, I think this is a great signing, but is it just another guy on the roster, or is he going to be a big deal? And that's what I want to find out. Let me know what you guys think down below.